All right, looks like we're gonna have to start without some of these guys. So, all right, I will call this order to meeting Thursday, September 17th at 7:02 p.m. Just run through. Chris DeRozier. I saw his name on the list, but don't know if he's unmuted. Chris, you there? Oh. No, hold on. Christy just showed up too, so we're good. All right, Bruce Edgerton.
Here.
Jonathan Kastner. I didn't see him. Alan Parody.
I'm here.
Christy Stroud.
I just got here.
All right. And we have John Jaskowski, our interim CEO, Nancy Howard, recording secretary, and I think I saw Mike.
I'm here. I don't know why we're doing Zoom meetings still, because I can't seem to get this to work.
Okay.
You can hear me now, though?
I can hear you now, Chris.
Okay. How much longer are we doing this for? Because I got kids not in daycare, so it's going to be loud and obstructive to everybody else.
You're asking the wrong person, man. We'll make a call to the governor for you.
Okay. I've asked this twice now. I just was wondering if we could figure this out, because it's infuriating.
Well, all right. Well, moving on. All right. So we got some correspondence that looks like. So the Wetlands Commission sent us a letter. If everybody got that or not. If not, I got to hear my screen. Does everybody have that or no? No. All right. So I guess I'll read it in. Letter dated September 17th. 2020. One second here. Okay. To the Planning and Zoning Commission, dated September 17th, 2020. It's regarding the Parati Brothers LLC, 400 and 500 Commercial Drive, Deep River. It's map 33, lot 6F and 6G. Dear members, it has come to the attention of the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commission, CIWC, that dumpsters are being stored outside of the recycling facility at the above referenced address. The CIWC is concerned regarding drainage from any debris that may be in the containers. Please investigate to determine if the containers may be in violation of the zoning approval for the subject property. Thank you, Tanner Steves, Chairman. Just a little background on that. That's the recycling facility. They have a special permit for the dumpsters. They just have to be cleaned and washed inside the building before they're stored in a specific area outside. So I guess the question is that they're not being stored in the right spot or they're not empty. So I guess we just have to pass that along to the ZEO. Unless anybody has any questions.
Tony, are you doing stuff in the regular meeting now or the public hearing now?
This was just correspondence that came in.
But
Go
that
ahead.
would be part of your regular meeting, though?
Yep, I'm sorry. We called the regular meeting.
Aren't we going to do the public hearing first?
I was going to do that after, where it says public business. I was going to bring up the public hearing. Out of order, Bruce?
I mean, whatever. We normally, it says a public hearing is called at 7 o'clock. We usually have the regular business meeting follow at the conclusion of the public hearing. That's been our process we've always followed.
Okay, well, we'll do that next. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I was given, all right. Well, we're on to the public hearing next anyway. All right, so on to the public hearing. It is now 7:06 p.m. So we'll call the public hearing to order. Thursday, September 17th, 2020. So the first order of business for the public hearing is to accept evidence for or against written or oral for Regulation Amendment, Section 41024A, indoor recreation uses to be permitted in the CIPD zoning district. Applicant Karen Sen. Anybody here representing for
Yep.
that?
I'm here.
Okay.
This is Karen.
All right, Karen, you got something to provide us?
I'll just let everybody know my intent is to open a small, hopefully everybody can hear me, a small cross-training functional fitness type gym. It's just we get together, do team workouts, small group setting, but also have the opportunity to be able to provide some open gym time for members to be able to come in and work on strength building, training for specific events, running, obstacle course, whatever. That's pretty much it. So we're not like, we intend to, you know, have the bay door open to be able to allow for fresh air. That was one of my steps. And that's pretty much it.
All right, so anybody have any questions?
Tony, it's John Guskowski.
Yep, shoot.
I would just note for the record that this legal notice, you have it on the screen right now, that this public hearing was duly noted in the Hartford Courant twice on September 4th and on September 11th. So that it's been properly noticed. And then the text of the change is on the prior screen that you had there.
This is Bob Ginder. I have a question. Could you define CIPD zoning district, please?
John, you ready for this one, or I got to grab my regs?
Can I, this is Alan Perry, Commissioner. Can I ask a question first? Because it seems like are we actually talking about the commercial district? Or are we talking about the Turnpike district? What location are we specifically talking about? Were you talking about the development that's out near Plattwood Park, that industrial park?
No, real quick, it's Commercial Industrial Park District, which is the CIPD. So it is that zone specifically.
Thank you.
No, I also want to ask the commission some background on this, because that use was specifically removed from that district in 2017. And I'm curious what the discussion was, because I know that there are commissioners currently on the commission that were part of that decision to actually remove that use from that district. Do we have any history on that action?
I think you're probably asking Bruce, because I was not on here at that time.
You know, I couldn't give you an answer to that because it doesn't seem, I don't know why that would have been removed.
Well, if you read the footnotes, footnote 7, it was effective on January 1st of 2017 to remove that use from CIPD, VID, and the TID. So I assume that there had to be something driving that, either from the Plan of Conservation and Development or another conflict that would result in that prior regulation change. But it seems like we're being requested to revert to where the regulations were in 2016.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yep.
So again, John Guskowski, interim town planner. Just looking through the Plan of Conservation and Development, specifically pages 16 and 17 that deal with commercial, industrial, and mixed use development. There's really nothing one way or another that speaks to sort of expanding or contracting uses in commercial or industrial districts. You know, so it says, you know, support new industrial development, but other uses compatible with a rural character. I don't really see that there's anything for or against this specific use. So, and nothing to necessarily justify its removal.
Specifically removing it from the regs. It's removed from the regs altogether? Yeah, it's removed from being out in that district out there.
Oh,
the industrial park. Yeah. That's what she wants to be doing this. I don't understand why it's been removed.
All right, well, I mean, you're
Oh, that would have been.
for an answer, Alan, or you want to take?
Well, I mean, I just would like to, I'm curious about the history of that because it was a recent action of the commission to exclude that use. Now, we do have other similar districts. I think the TIP in particular, we've also removed similar uses, but there are existing uses there, such as the flip-flop gymnastics, which sounds like it's a similar use. Which I guess if that pre-existed, that's become a non-conforming use by this prior change in the regulations.
Right.
I'm not at this point arguing for or against. I mean, I guess my opinion is that it seems like a reasonable use and that there was precedent for it, at least in the TIP. And it has a very similar composition to this other district. But I'm just missing a little bit of the history. And the other thing that does beg some clarification is that we're asking for the inclusion of that use 41024A, which seems to be defined more as recreational facilities because they're defined in terms of, billiard rooms, arcades, and gaming rooms, and similar facilities. Whereas I think an spa or athletic facility might be characterized different because it would certainly have a different use pattern.
That's probably, I mean, maybe that's something for the regulations committee to better define that.
And I think what distinguishes them, again, if we look at 1024B, they're indoor commercial recreation facilities, but that seemed to be more defined as more of an athletic type facility, being a bowling alley, a skating rink, swimming pool, potentially of a larger scale. So are these just differentiated by the type of activity or by the scale? Again, I understand the perhaps the suitability of that use in such a park. Again, there's training facilities that are existing in TIP in a couple of locations now.
Right.
This other district has a very similar composition. I suspect that we wouldn't have that conflict, but I still raise a question as far as the action that the commission took in 2017 and the reasons behind it.
I wish we'd looked that up before tonight.
All right. Well, I mean,
Mr.
I don't know how
Chairman,
you feel, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, I am not a member of the commission, nor am I a member of the public, but I just had sort of a question maybe for the commission. And reading through these regulations again, we had sort of advised Ms. Sen to that indoor commercial recreation of this nature, was not currently in the use table. But I wonder if you look at the use above 4.10.23, which is outdoor private, but then it's and/or commercial recreation facilities, which is, I think, something perhaps I neglected upon first read because I was looking at the word outdoor.
Right.
But the and or, and then particularly or commercial recreation facilities, the commercial recreation facilities doesn't necessarily need to be modified by the word outdoor.
Right, 'cause it's
Right.
And so perhaps gymnastic studios, which is not necessarily something that would necessarily be outdoor, could perhaps be considered a special permit use in this district. I hadn't considered that previously because I was thrown off by the outdoor.
Hmm.
But that's something I would raise with the commission.
When I was reading through this, John, I had the same observation, because it did say it's outdoor and I skipped over that. But when you begin to think in terms of racquetball and the other uses, those are indoor uses. And if that is the case, then in that particular district, this use that they're requesting is allowed by a special permit and wouldn't require any change to our regulations. We just need to apply the right use in this district.
So I guess my question is it a, if it fits that use, is it a special permit or is it just an allowed use?
It's a special permit.
Okay, so it's still public hearing, okay. All right, do you,
But the question on the table is still the matter of adding that back essentially to 24A. And she's proposing it as a site plan, not a special permit.
gotcha. All right, so, go ahead, Alan.
I don't know if we're going to have discussion. We're still receiving public comments, right?
Yep,
Before
still
we go into
public.
discussion about the particular issue. So I will hold.
I mean, so I guess my question is this redundant if we do this because of that other, the other end of that?
I think it would be, and I think it's just a matter of what's throwing us off is the indoor, outdoor, descriptor, for lack of a better word. But I think that John is right, since it doesn't say, when it says commercial recreation, it doesn't say one or the other.
Right.
I think we need to maybe address our regulations and clarify that is outdoor or indoor commercial recreation for those specific uses. The description of those uses is distinctively different than the uses that are defined in 24A or 24B. So I would try not to cross these uses up by, as you said, Tony, making them redundant.
Right, that's, my hang up is are we adding something that's already in there to a different portion? I mean, it's granted it is under special permit. Does anybody else?
Special permit.
I mean,
In regard to the requirement that it be a special permit as opposed to being permitted as of right, I think it's important, considering the mixed use of these districts with industrial use and then a recreational use, that it really should go through a public hearing to understand the nuance of the composition of businesses that are going to be in there. And the specifics of the use pattern, the volume of use, the amount of traffic, the time of use, all of that is really something I think that needs to be taken into consideration with these types of mixed districts. When you're talking about the potential of heavy equipment in there, and you're talking about the potential of, young student athletes in exercise facility in the same complex. There's a lot of considerations.
I was just rereading this. So the other thing that we're, in the other part of the regulation, does it says add spa to the designation? Is spa in the other part or no? The outdoor or indoor?
I don't think I'm understanding your question, Tony.
So on the bottom of her thing right here, it's in blue, it says add spa designation for the CIPD zone. And we were reading it earlier that indoor recreation was allowed in a different section. Does that different section have spa in it?
Well, I don't see where it lists spa, but it does list health clubs, and I'm not sure that we're going to get into listing every variation on what a health club or spa might be. And I think that the inclusion of health clubs would you would interpret that as including spas.
Sorry, Tony, if I might.
Yeah.
The SPA
Mhm.
is an acronym for site plan approval.
Ah,
We're not talking about a health spa.
okay, all right.
It would be changing the designation from special permit, which is SX,
The site plan approval.
to SPA, which is site plan approval.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry, sort of an unfortunate coincidence there.
All right, well, I mean, I'm not. I guess, do you have any more questions, for the general public or for the public about this, or before we move on? I mean, we can discuss this if we do close the public hearing. Back in the regular thing, we just can't ask the applicant any more questions. So if you guys have anything else to add, or you're all right with closing the public hearing portion of this.
I guess it's Chris. Did we give the public an opportunity to speak yet, or?
Nope, not yet. I was just looking for you guys if you had any more questions. All right, so if there's anybody from the public who'd like to chime in on this?
Tony, Jack Baldwin.
Yep.
I think it's a good idea to get it in there. It looks like it's a safe place, and it's good for the people. So.
All right, so I think that's in favor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? All right. So back to you guys.
Hey, can I make a motion to close the public?
You can. For a second.
Second.
Thank you, Christy. All right. Chris, you made the motion, right? Christy seconded, so I guess Bruce, in favor, against?
This is to do what? The motion specifically is to do what?
Just close the public
To
hearing.
close the public hearing.
Well, you got two items on this public hearing.
Or just for this applicant, or this
So
application.
that portion of it,
Sorry, that portion.
yes.
All right, who else is left on here? Alan?
Yes.
All right. On to the second one. Let's see here. Sorry, I got a lot of stuff on my screen here. That is that. Public hearing. All right. So the next one is to accept evidence for or against written or oral for special permit and change of use, new doggy daycare and doggy training facility at 500 Main Street in the TID zoning district. Applicant Catherine Shrana. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name.
No, because she's not, I'm sorry, she's not on the call. It's Janice. I'm on the call instead. Yeah. Sorry.
No, no worries. All right, so do you have something you want to throw at us, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I currently, and I apologize if you hear dogs barking in the background because I am at my facility that I currently have right now, and there is a class going on that I had to have covered so I could be on the call. So if you hear barking dogs, I apologize. So what we're looking to do is in the additional space that is, I don't even know where it is here. Yeah, over there. Is to do a doggy daycare and additional training opportunity because we have no doggy daycare facilities in this area at all. So there's nowhere to go for, there's nowhere for people to take their dogs for the day to play with other dogs and, get some training and things like that. So that's, the main use that I'm looking for is to eventually open it up as a doggy daycare. I mean, I know there was one next door in the other facility, I don't know where, to the left of the buildings, that closed. It was Harry Barker's at one time. So that was the only one that was in this area at the time, and then she closed, but she only did small dogs. So we would be doing all dogs, which they would be divided, based on size and breed and age and things like that. But, just in addition to the current training facility that I have right now.
All right. I mean, I'm just curious. So you're doing everything from mini pinchers all the way up to St. Bernard's?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just
And
making sure.
Yeah, they are divided. So I'm not going to have a St. Bernard playing with a mini pin. No, that's not going to happen. So currently the reason for this is where my current facility is. I have the medical facility upstairs, so I can't really do things during the day.
Mhm.
That would interfere with them. I mean, barking dogs down there while somebody's trying to get, a massage isn't very nice. So we're looking to expand basically.
Okay. I guess I have a couple of questions. What's surrounding you? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, back in the new place?
Mhm.
There's a gym on one side and then there's a small business on the other side. Both of them have said they have no problem with us doing a doggy daycare.
And is there any outdoor space for them, or is it just all indoor stuff?
There's outdoor space behind it that we have to fence in. It's not a big giant area, but it's an area for a potty area. That's all it is for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they'll be inside.
Right. Does anybody else got any other questions, or? All right. How about anybody from the public? Anybody for or against?
Hi, Tony. It's Gary Clark.
Hey, Gary.
I'm, as you probably know, a dog lover, and I think we don't have anything like this around. And I supported her when she first came to town, and I think it's a great thing.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Bob Ginder, 137 Kirtland Street. I too believe that this would be probably a good thing. I was just curious, is this a permitted use or are you applying for a change of use or something like that?
It looks like it's by special permit, so.
I think it's, yeah, so I was gonna say,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's a good thing, but I was just curious what was required for this. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Tony, Jack Baldwin.
Hey, Jack.
I've worked with Janice before with our dogs, and she does a really awesome job.
Thank you,
Very
Jack.
professional, and that I really I'm in support as well. Like Gary, we are animal friendly as well. But she does an excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, Lawrence Stewart, 134 Kirtland. I also think it's an excellent idea.
All righty. Anybody else from the public?
Can I chime in here with just a question?
Yep, shoot, fire away.
So I think this is great use and obviously something that the town needs. I guess my question is, since these are dogs and they might have a tendency to bark, is there any provision for sound attenuation for, between other businesses that are in this complex? Is there a consideration of the noise that might be generated? And again, I think it's probably appropriate use because we're talking about a more of an industrial type area. It's not, we're not talking about a, adjacent to libraries or otherwise, but just ask if there's a anticipation that there could be noise generated from the dogs.
Well, the owners of the property did speak to the people on either side of us, and they said they have no problem with us moving in there. I guess the gym said we have loud blasting music when people are in here. So, that they didn't care about the barking dogs. I think that the sound in there, I think the buildings are pretty solid. So I really don't think that the sound is going to be that bad, but they both said they had no problem.
I think it's great that you reached out.
All right, anybody else? Any more questions? All right, looking for a motion, if you guys are so inclined, we're looking for a motion to close this portion of the public hearing.
This is Bruce, I'll make that motion.
All right, anybody second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Right. You have to shoot that one out. I think Alan beat you to it by a second. So Chris, I take it you're for it if you were going to second.
Yep, for it, yay.
All right, and Christie?
Yep.
All right. All right, so that will call this public hearing to a close because there's nothing else on this portion of the agenda at 7:34.
It looks like Ben has joined us.
Yep, I was going to throw him up just in a second. I think he came in just a couple minutes ago, so Ben is here. Let's go back to our regular agenda if I can find it.
Hey, Tony, this is Karen Sen. Do you still need us on the phone or can we drop off?
I mean, we're going to vote on your application in a minute. So
Oh,
you might want to hang out for that part, but you can drop off if you want.
I'll hang out.
Okay. So we covered correspondence. Next up is the audience. So if there's anybody in the audience has anything they want to throw out. Hearing none.
Hey, Tony,
Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Now, is this where I would bring up a concern or is this still about the public hearing?
Nope, we're back into the regular meeting. So this is your opportunity to throw out what you got.
All right, I have a concern, and it's a huge concern at my house. With the fires that happened in basically my backyard on the Papusha property. I mean, as far as I was concerned, and I heard, and I got a copy of the file from the town, that property was still under cease and desist from planning and zoning from a long time ago.
Okay.
And if he's doing business over there, I have a huge concern, and now I have a huge concern about my house burning down. And that's a huge issue for me.
Okay. I mean, John's on here, so he's aware of it now that you brought it up. I mean, I would ask.
Could you tell me the address, please, of the property in question?
I believe it's 199 Stevenstown Road.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And John, my name is Gary Clark. I live at 46 Laurelwood Drive.
Nice to meet you, Gary.
Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
So with that, anybody else from the audience? All right, hearing none, we're gonna move on to public business. Actually, I forgot to add something. So I don't know if you can do this late into the agenda, but there is something that came in late. So I'm looking for a motion to amend the agenda to include action on Hoop Pole Hill Road for the bond release. So looking for a motion.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to address late coming information on Hoop Pole subdivision.
Looking for a second.
Don't leave me hanging, folks.
I'll second it.
Pete Christie. All right, Chris. I guess Chris is abstaining. Bruce?
I'm not abstaining. I just have children and Zoom meetings suck. That's fine. Yes.
All right, Bruce?
Yes.
And Ben, now that you're here. Oh, sorry, Christie, I skipped. Oh, no, you seconded it. All right, Ben?
Hey, Tony, am I all set or is there an issue because I'm late?
Nope, you're good.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Ben, that's only an issue when I'm late.
All right, guys. So we'll go on to public business. A, action on evidence received at the public hearing held immediately prior to the meeting for regulation amendment section 41024A, indoor recreation, uses to be permitted in the CIPD zoning district, applicant Karen Sen. All right. Anybody have any more input to this, feelings on this?
So from our discussion that we had during the public hearing,
Mhm.
are we convinced that it's going to take a regulation amendment in order to incorporate indoor recreation?
My feeling is that it was in there and just all the request really is to switch from a special exception to a site plan approval. Right? I mean, we went back, that other regulation is in there.
That's what I saw.
We could certainly address the language in the regulations to make it, to clarify it, because it does read a little bit ambiguous. But it's my opinion that the use is allowed by special permit, and I think it's appropriate that it's by special permit. Again, because the mixed use and nature of these districts where you have the potential for recreational type activities as well as manufacturing type activities, and there are nuances that should be discussed in the approval process.
Tony, if I might.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So this is John Guskowski. I think I tend to agree with Alan's approach, and again, I don't have a vote, but I would suggest that perhaps the commission might consider a vote to deny the proposed amendment, but with a finding that the applicant's proposed use of an indoor fitness center is properly understood as a use allowed by special permit per section 4.10.23 in the CIPD.
Gee, Tony, it sounds like John just came up with a perfect motion, didn't it?
No, that sounds pretty good to me. So you're not a full-time member, John. Thank you. Is that what we're running with?
I'll second.
I think that the motion has been made.
Right. Who just made John's motion? If so inclined.
Did anybody pick that up to say, make that a motion? I missed that, Tony. Nobody did?
Nobody said it. Nope.
Oh.
It can be you,
Well, I
Bruce.
make a motion that, as John mentioned, that the initial application or request be denied as far as being a regulation amendment, but that it is permitted by special permit. Did I get that about right, John?
Yes, but I would mention specifically it's allowable under section 4.10.23.
0.23.
Perfect. Looking for a second. All right. That leaves you, Alan.
Yes.
All right. And Christie?
Yes.
All righty.
Very good.
All right. Moving on to action on evidence received at the public hearing held immediately prior to this meeting for a special permit change of use, new doggy daycare and dog training facility at 500 Main Street in the TID zoning district. Applicant Karen Trunkauso. I'm going to leave it at that.
You can use my name if you want, second.
So,
You should try calling him, see where he is.
anybody have any feelings on this? Any discussion on this? All right. Looking for a motion then.
I move to approve the application for the special permit for doggy daycare within, is it the TIP or the CIPD?
All right.
Correct.
Looking for a second.
Second it with my dog barking in the background.
You? All right. So that leaves Chris. Give him a second. I'm sure he'll chime in. Bruce?
Yes.
All right. Alan, Christie.
I'm sorry, could you not hear me? I said yes. My
Okay.
fault.
Chris, yes, perfect.
Don't forget Ben.
Ben, yeah, Ben wasn't here for that, so.
I'll be abstaining.
Yeah. All right. So the third thing that we put on the agenda, oh, by the way, that passed. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
The third thing we put on the agenda is the action or the release of the bond for Hoop Hole Road subdivision. And we have a letter from somewhere from Jacobson. Nope, that's a bill. Here we go. So their only holdup on the release of that bond was that the monumentation be set, and it looks like they went out there and checked all that. So Jacobson's office said that it's all set, and they've signed off on the whole thing. So we just need a motion from you guys for a bond release.
I make that motion, Bruce.
All right. Looking for a second.
I'm unmuted, so I'll second that.
All right. Chris?
Tony, I'm sorry, before you take a vote?
Yep.
If I might, I might suggest that we amend the motion to allow for the bond release following town acceptance of the road.
Oh, I thought that had been done already.
Really?
I don't believe it has been accepted. Or the extension.
Why would you release the bond before the?
Yeah, that's what
approval?
John. Yeah, that's what John's saying, is to amend it so it's not released
Yeah.
before it's accepted.
Isn't this a little premature? Typically, you've got to have your road accepted before you release a bond.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but we're voting on it before it's even been accepted. Typically,
I
you get-
rescind my motion.
Okay.
I'm just saying for order or formality, typically you have to be accepted.
If I might, Tony, I think usually the procedure would be that the Board of Selectmen would look to Planning and Zoning, who is the authority, that has the authority for subdivision, to be the entity that sort of forwards the request that the road is, the road is in good shape and be accepted by the town. So the request should probably come from Planning and Zoning. So yeah, the motion could be amended to say that, noting that Jacobson has attested to the completeness of the road and all the public improvements, that the Planning and Zoning Commission requests that the selectmen proceed to town meeting to accept the extension of Hoopole Hill Road, and after which point, if it was accepted by town, that the 90% of the bond be released.
You make some pretty nice motions there, John.
Just off the top
Yeah,
of my head.
I'll
Anybody
go
want to
along
pick
with
that
that
up?
motion.
All right. Anybody second that one?
I will second that one.
All right. Chris, how about you? All right. Christie?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
All right. Looks like that passed. All right. What else do we have on the agenda here? On to reports. Anything from the zoning enforcement officer?
Yeah, nope, nothing for me, Tony.
All righty.
No, I'm just kidding.
You got a list now?
So we have a couple of things to report back. So we, Mike and I, and Mike is on, but he's covering another meeting this evening, so he's not necessarily available. So we followed up with the state of Connecticut DEP concerning the Valley Railroad question. And they were pretty unequivocal that it is not only a state property, it is a state park. And the goal of the state park is to encourage visitation and use. In so doing, they basically stated, and again, this was a verbal conversation with two DEP officials, that the Valley Railroad Company essentially runs the state park on the state's behalf. And so any oversight of activities that are managed by Valley Railroad are the responsibility of the state. We have asked them to put this in writing, their opinion, and they said that they would do so. They're just making sure that they have all of the relevant bureau chiefs, the outdoor recreation chief, the land management chief, all sign off on it. But I can report, and hopefully Mike would back me up if necessary. But they were pretty unequivocal that the management of the Valley Railroad property, the Valley Railroad State Park, is the authority and responsibility of the state, not the town. So that's item number one.
All right.
Item number two, Deep River Farms. Mike and I followed up with that. We met with the owners of Deep River Farms last week. And after some conversation back and forth, we I think sort of got through to them the difference between sort of existing, sort of pre-existing allowed, kind of non-conforming establishment of their operations and what they had sort of done for decades, and then the expansion of the farm use insofar as there's a public interface, because agriculture and agricultural buildings are allowed as of right.
Right.
But when you involve the public and have agritourism activities as they're defined in the regulations, and on-farm visitations and things like that, where there's a public interface, it trips into a special permit category. And so they have a lot of plans for the future and things that they've sort of started working on that they now hopefully understand do require some scrutiny. And so they're going to do two things moving forward. First, they're going to sort of establish sort of a shared understanding of what was the baseline of the farm stand and things that they were already doing there for decades and even before they bought the farm. And the next step is probably late fall and early winter, they're going to basically develop, hopefully with our help, kind of a master plan for the things that they would like to do on the farm moving forward. They're building a large barn, or they're hoping to build a large barn on the property that they'll hold some classes in and things like that. they now understand that that all will require a special permit insofar as there is public interface involved or agritourism. So we believe we left it in a good spot, and they were awaiting from them kind of the first deliverable, which is sort of their understanding of their baseline activities. And then this winter we'll look into sort of what their vision is going forward. And this will also involve the DOT, because they're hoping to reconfigure their parking and sort of push their main parking a little bit farther to the west, I guess it would be, to access the barn that they're hoping to build, and kind of redirect more traffic a little bit farther off of the state highway, so that you're not having so many cars kind of pulling in and backing off onto the state road. So I think we left that in a relatively positive place.
Good.
Third, we continue to do a lot of work, unfortunately, on the potentially illegal subdivision of 105 Westbrook Road, which is the former Myron Kamosi property. It's an unbelievable amount of paperwork and property line shenanigans that have taken place over the last 25 years. So we had a Zoom meeting with Dave Tice, the attorney, on this to kind of debrief from where we thought we were. It's very, very largely a property dispute, and we need to, the two owners need to figure out who actually owns what. But the town has a bit of a stake in that. We need to know who to tax.
Right.
And we need to know if the property was subdivided illegally. So the attorney is going through the paperwork. Mike set up, again, there's a tremendous amount of paperwork. And so Mike D'Amato set up a sort of a share drive where I, the attorney, and the assessor are all kind of sharing documents and kind of going through things. But it's unfortunately a work in progress, and it's just costing everybody money for the kind of shenanigans, let's say, of the property owner. We've been dealing with Hoop Hole Road, which we just dealt with, the whole bond question on that. Spent a lot of time about 2-3 weeks ago, basically since our last meeting, working with Angus's office to put together a STEEP grant, which we submitted about a week and a half ago, which is looking for about $125,000 for the state to really upgrade the town's sort of e-government and open government systems, including an online GIS system, an online land use permitting system, new computers to support that at Town Hall, a video conferencing capability and broadcast capability up in the auditorium for public meetings. With apologies to Chris that we want to make virtual meetings easier, and as well as some electronic signs to have public information to be posted at the elementary school, the firehouse, and then down on Main Street, heading down towards Essex at sort of the south end of the village. Some electronic message boards. So hopefully that will be funded, and that will be, I think, a huge step forward for Town Hall, and especially a Town Hall that's not open. All offices aren't open full time to allow people to conduct business remotely.
Yeah.
And then we are continuing to follow up on a number of sort of ongoing, complaints and questions. The Spruce Farm activities. There's questions about them doing concerts there. Mike and I are trying to get an appointment to go down there. Some concerns about the trash at the Dunkin' Donuts we're following up on. And then the sort of a digging into historic commercial uses on Pent Road that we're looking at documenting. So and then the standard permit reviews, land use permit reviews. So
Everyday stuff.
It continues to be busy.
Good.
Hey, John, quick question. This is Chris. This is the first I was aware that we had a Connecticut State Park at our limited riverfront in our town. Are there advantages we can take as a town to get the state of Connecticut to subsidize some things that we need for infrastructure purposes down there then?
Could you give me a specific?
No, in general, like, I've been on the board for, I didn't realize we had a state park in our town.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a state park either. I am the town planner in Essex also and had no idea that the steam train down there was a state park. No idea.
That's interesting. We get that in writing to maybe try to go after grants and things of that nature to try to get some funding by the state of Connecticut, since, you know, we are now housing a state park.
Yeah, I would say definitely. And the state has a program called the State Rec Trails Program, which is an annual grant program. And a lot of towns get money to basically, the state loves giving towns money that ultimately helps state property. Right. So a lot of towns have been given grants to like work on the airline trail, for instance, which is a state park in there's the stretches in their towns. So yeah, I would think that the fact of the state park probably improves our chances of getting some rec trails grants or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just John, just so you know, context-wise, as a commission, we've talked about how we can implement a better planning program for Deep River, and maybe this helps incentivize getting something structured and put out from a standpoint of making Deep River more marketable for because we have a state park that people want to visit now.
Sure, this is something that we should certainly make sure the Economic Development Commission also knew.
Right, capitalize on that.
When do you think we're going to get something in writing on it? Because, like, honestly, that's interesting. But based on things that I've, just different hearings that have come through our commission, that whole region is a little. Anytime something comes up, we get a lot of public interest. Let's say that. So I just imagine that anything that we do to try to emphasize the fact that we have a public state park, we might get pushback on. So I guess what I'm just curious is, like, from a planning standpoint, we should understand what this means so that we can explain it to the town members, because the people that live in that neighborhood are going to want to understand what that means now that they have property adjacent to a state park, because I don't know that they always knew that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, and yeah, we can certainly, because it does kind of cut both ways. Obviously, it's a positive to have a state park, but if the town is looking to promote it, that obviously has the side effect of bringing more people to those access points along the state park, which in this case is, of course, the sort of the steam train and boat launch.
Well, it's quite literally the only waterfront of our town. And the people that live down there, they're adamant against any development down there. So I think that goes without saying. But I mean, still from a town standpoint, it's exciting to see how we can figure out how to get this to benefit us.
Yes, I think that's right. But to answer your very first question last, I think I will follow up. I mean, the state, whenever you're walking a letter around between bureaus, I am sure it takes a while, but I'll follow up. I have a decent relationship with Graham Stevens, who is my point of contact there. I'll see if we can get a fire lit under him to get that communication to the town.
So I kind of wanted to piggyback on that anyway, because like Chris brought this up just now, and this is, like you said, this has been coming up for quite a while. There's always questions about what happens down there, and I mean, if it was my ball to run with, I would think we probably should get a list of questions together of the things that keep coming up, and get our attorney's opinion on this. I mean, I'm not asking for that right now, but I'd like the commission to think about that. Like I said, it's come up for, I mean, if you go back to the original letter that Kathy wrote, what was that, 20 years ago? So this has been going on, an ongoing problem for a long time. And I think there's like a lot of questions. I mean, clearly Chris has some, the people that live down there have some. So I think maybe we should work on something like that. Not to run off on a tangent there, but I'd like you guys to come up with something. On that note, if you don't have anything else, John, I'm going to cruise through the rest of this stuff.
Can we take
No, go ahead.
comments from the audience?
You guys missed that. It was at the beginning of before the public business.
Yeah, but it was in reference to this specifically, so that this hadn't been talked about.
Yep, I mean, I can't have public input at every portion of this unless it's a public hearing. So, I mean, I allotted at the beginning in case you guys had something.
Okay.
I think it was Gary threw something out there.
I have a question.
Shoot.
I understand the state park part, which I guess then means we have limited ability to get rid of the extra railroad cars that are there, that I believe is one of the complaints.
Yep.
But if I'm correct, another complaint was the parking down there where people aren't supposed to be parking. And I'm going off of memory now. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Yep.
So I
That's it.
can't imagine that it being a state park allows for people to park, on roads and other places where they're not supposed to be parking. So I think we still have to figure out how we're going to address that issue,
Agreed.
whether it's a state park or not. And I don't know if that was what the public comment was, but that's just, if I was living down there, I don't know that we're answering those people's concerns by saying it's a state park.
Right, that's
Tony,
what I'm saying.
if I might.
Go ahead.
So I would just back up a little bit, Christy, with all due respect. I think that there's the question of people aren't supposed to park there was the open question that we were asking the state to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the state has indicated, and again, we'll get this in writing, indicated that the Valley Railroad is essentially running their facility, their state park for them, and so has management over things like parking. It was the Valley Railroad who runs the state park, essentially, who opted to allow cars to park there. And so that is their decision, and that is a matter that the state endorses.
But not in our
Right,
parking
I think she's
lot,
talking
not in
off
our
site.
parking lot and not on our roads.
Oh, well, so if parking is not allowed along town roads, that's an enforcement issue probably for the trooper.
I think one thing that we should follow up on this then as a housekeeping issue, if we're showing that state park area as part of a zoning district that we would imply that we regulate, then we may want to update our map and clarify that that is not in the jurisdiction of the town's planning and zoning, and that the zone that might be indicated on there doesn't apply. It might clarify things
Well,
in our documentation.
it doesn't really, zoning and ownership are two different things. I mean, the state could, in theory, sell the Valley Railroad or the state park to someone else, who would then be subject to, the town is empowered to indicate what sort of uses they want where, and what should be allowed where. It's just in the case of the state or federal government owning a piece of land, they're just not subject to those rules. But insofar as they don't own that anymore, then that would be, the zoning would apply.
This is Ben. I'm still, I know this is premature. This has to go to a specialized attorney, this question. Once again, I broached this before. They can say state park, they're not lawyers. There's already been court cases in the state of Connecticut with the federal government that they do have to adhere to local zoning. So I wouldn't be jumping the gun. I agree with Tony. This all needs to be put together, these questions, and there really needs to be a very specialized attorney looking at this on our behalf before we just start giving up rights as a town. And I was going to actually, Tony, I don't know if you want to do it now. I was going to bring some of this attorney stuff up. I don't know if it'd be more appropriate later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to divulge too much into it tonight. But like I said, I think let's get that list together. Because I know the public still has questions. There's stuff you brought up. Again, it's come up that it's a state park that may bring up more questions. So I think we should get that all together, and discuss the attorney option.
Yeah, no, I wanted to have a broad discussion about an attorney. I don't know if you want to put that in new business or.
Yeah, maybe. If you want to do it tonight, that's fine. We'll do it in our new business. But for the Valley Railroad portion, I don't think so.
Okay. Yep. No problem.
All right. Anybody else on the zoning stuff?
Is there any other part of Deep River that's a state park that I wasn't aware of?
Oh God. The ledge is where everybody hikes. Pine Ledge, isn't that part of Cockaponzit?
Yes.
Right, that's a state park. I'm trying to think if there's one other. Isn't there another portion off of, or is that all Chester? Down past.
That's
Baldwin
state park
Staples?
or state forest?
That's state forest. You're right. Yeah, I don't think there is. Yeah, I think that's the only one.
From a town finance standpoint, we should do our homework and see how we can milk this, but we can move on.
Agreed. Like you said, I think it should go to economic development too. Let them, curl their fingers around it. So again, anything else for zoning enforcement? All right, moving on to attorney. I don't think there is anything. Anybody else? Nope. All right, engineer. We already talked about the bond release, so that's all done. Planning. Regulations Commission. Anybody? Chairman, I have nothing. Budget. Usually that's Jonathan. He hasn't been here. We might to reach out to him, see how he's doing. Payment of bills. I do have one bill. There is a bill for services from June 27th to July 24th of 2020 for Hoople Hill Road from Nathan L. Jacobson and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $436.80. You guys looking for a motion to pay this bill? Nobody ever wants to pay the bills.
Okay, it's Bruce.
Go ahead. One of you guys, Bruce or Alan.
I'll second Alan's motion then.
All right, first, second. All right, so Chris, yay, nay?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. My daughter was playing with her train. What's the motion on the table? I apologize.
To pay the bill.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm always down to pay the bill. Sorry.
No worries. Who's left here? Christie?
Yeah, I think we should pay our bill.
All right, Ben?
Yes.
All right. There we go. Bills are paid. Where are we? September. What's next? Budget. Nope. There is no budget yet that I know of. Anybody got anything? Nothing. All right. Commissioner training. I got nothing at the moment. I don't know if anybody else is aware of anything we should be doing.
Yeah, Tony. It's John.
Yeah?
Just as an FYI, the Land Use Academy that is run out of Yukon,
Yeah, we've done it a few times.
they just posted their trainings online, so they're basically available on demand. So you don't have to request a special session or go to something. They've put their Land Use Academy training online.
Okay, I'm gonna dig that up and send it out to everybody. This is online.
So it's clear.yukon.edu.
All right, that's good news.
Is there a fee for those online courses or training?
Yeah, it's the one that Bruce. Remember we did the thing with Bruce Hyde. It's the whole Land Use Academy. I'm pretty sure I know right where it is, so I send out an email to everybody with it. You got old business, the food trucks. If you guys, we made any progress on that? I know we mentioned it to economic development. They had a few comments. I don't know where we are regulation wise. I don't think we've made much progress on this. If anybody's going through the regs that were out from Clinton and Madison, or are we just pushing this off to a farther date?
Johnny, what comments did we get back from economic development? It was part of the discussion from the prior meeting when this was brought up, was to understand their input, especially as it pertains to other bricks and mortar businesses that might be in competition. That we need to be sensitive in regard to, permitting the trucks.
Off the top of my head, one of them was they were worried about is Thursdays down at the church, because that is also the soup kitchen day. So they didn't want to interfere with that. So if we do something, you'd have to limit it so it doesn't happen on Thursdays down there. They also said, be aware that, you might want to reach out to some of these people and say to like the Red House, hey, we're thinking about adding the food truck thing. We want to give you first dib on this before we bring people from outside, and tell them where we're thinking. you know, they wanted to make sure that those guys were aware of what we were doing. You know, we mentioned that too, but they said, you know, hey, if you're going to do something down at the landing, you might want to mention it. And they may want to do something down there. They may want to put a cart down there. Which I thought was a pretty good idea. No, there wasn't too much of that. It's pretty much the same concerns we had, you know, just to make sure we weren't too close to existing businesses, and you know, they were fully aware of that.
What will be the process for initiating a draft on this regulation to be for discussion? Is it a matter of taking, we have somebody to take the ordinances we've reviewed and draft something up? Or is there still some discussion as to whether this is, you know, desired in Deep River? I mean, we need to take this to a public hearing to get a broader perspective as to whether this is something that we want in Deep River.
That's a good question. Do you think we should have a public hearing on that? I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe the town doesn't. Maybe we're the only ones who do want this, and the rest of the towns just forget it. Maybe that's not a bad idea, Alan.
Well, I certainly see the timeliness of it in regard to COVID, because, you know, initially it could certainly meet some other needs, but it is one of those issues that if it becomes a permitted use, even by special permit, it can certainly change the complexion of the town. And we have regulations in place that are very deliberate about maintaining the character of the town. So I think that there could be a lot of different perspectives as to what the benefits are or the downside. So I think I personally believe that this should be a broader discussion. But maybe we use the other regulations that we've reviewed, you know, to prompt that discussion. But, you know, again, I tend to be on the conservative side of not changing regulations just for the sake of changing regulations. I'd like to see some initiative behind it, that we understand the implications on the town, and then if there is a desire to move forward, that we continue to formalize the regulation and the process.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I want to back up because there are two other things that I glanced at my notebook. So they were concerned. They wanted to make sure, you know, you're always in close proximity to a bathroom, and that trash was taken care of by them. They said, you know, that's a big problem. Sometimes you'll have people, they'll park, they're at a park, and they'll just throw all their garbage in your dumpster. So it has to be specific. They were worried about specifically you take your own trash. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. But I think that's a good idea. Maybe we will do that. We'll set a public hearing and see if people come in and comment about it. So, you know, just looking for a generalized discussion. All right. I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? So if you guys are fine with that, we'll put that off a little bit longer and get a public hearing going. Which pushes us to the building demolition ordinance. I don't know if John's had any time with the list of stuff he's just gone over, but we'll poke at him and see if he's got anything yet.
Well, no. So I mean, I think at this point, what we talked about last time is the ordinance. Oh, well, yeah. So it needs to go to an ordinance, and I'm now realizing that perhaps I should have been pulling up some other town's demo ordinance. So the answer is no. Okay. Sorry, but we can very easily, that just literally slipped through the cracks, and I apologize to the commission.
Doesn't sound like you had a lot on your plate.
we can put some examples up in the share file for review. Perfect. Absolutely.
All right. Moving on. Minutes. All right. Let's get to the minutes. Find those now. So I guess I'm going to do this two different ways. So we originally got the list of motions. So everybody had a chance to look at those. I'm going to include that under the minutes. Anybody have any changes? If not, looking for a motion to accept those.
Make a motion, Spruce.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. Chris? All right. How about Christie?
Yep, I agree.
Ben?
Yes.
All right. Looks like those are good. Moving on to the actual minutes, not the list.
Make a comment on that, Tony.
Shoot.
That's actually a kind of a nice supplemental document to have
I like that.
along with
myself.
the minutes. I don't know what prompted the origin of that document, but as an addendum to the minutes, it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah, I actually really like that myself.
I think that's nice to have a list of action items and decisions.
Nice job on Nancy's part.
Extracted.
So anyway, anybody have any changes to this? If not, looking for motion to accept.
It's Bruce again. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as distributed.
Perfect. Looking for a second?
Second.
All right, that's Ben. Looking for Chris. About Alan?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. We are down to new business. Anybody have any new business they want to bring up?
Tony, I just wanted to briefly touch on the attorney thing.
Shoot.
I think as a commission, we've got some stuff coming up, and we are going to need an attorney. You've got things going on, which I'm not familiar with. John's been handling the illegal subdivision. You've got Valley Railroad potential things and all these potential things. There are very specialized land use attorneys that I think we should be looking at. The attorney we have, if you start looking at the billing, one of the things is now he's got somebody else doing the work. He's billing us for conversing with this other person. And in my experience in dealing with land use attorneys, when you're dealing with a smaller specialized firm, a lot of these things don't generate paperwork and other things. It's very quick. You get an answer. I have a list of 3 off the top of my head that are very specialized in this kind of stuff, that they do carry a higher billing rate. But if you look at the length of time that they're going to spend on these things, it's very, very well worth their while. And this is all they do is land use, environmental law, these types of things. I really think it is time that we do start talking to some of these people and seeing what they have available for us.
I gotta have to throw out one comment to that. So, I mean, we gotta make sure we're not under contract if that's what the commission would like to do.
I asked for the contract a while back for Attorney Tykes. All we do is pay a specialized hourly rate. We are not under contract.
Okay.
So we just pay by the hour, according to the contract that was handed over to me. When we call for services, we pay by the hour at a special rate.
Okay. Anybody else got anything to add to that? It sounds like this will be another discussion. Go ahead.
I think it's worth some continued discussion. I'm sympathetic to the point that Ben made, that if you get the right attorney that's specialized in it, you're not looking at the rate so much as the result and the cost to get to the right result. So I think having the right folks on board is important. It's the same thought behind our, enlisting John as our CEO is tapping into that expertise. And we're facing more and more sophisticated issues that I certainly wouldn't claim to have the expertise, but would want to have you know, the most informed person to guide us as possible. So I think it does warrant looking at some options. So I would be in favor of continuing this discussion and at least reviewing the options that Ben says that he has for review.
Yeah, I mean, one of these gentlemen actually is a renowned, throughout the country, is a renowned land use specialist, and he lives in Connecticut. And he's actually retired from the big firm stuff. He's just out on his own doing things. And, you know, you can look him up. It's Dwight Merriam. And I've spoken to him about some of my stuff, and he is just on par, very quick to have answers. He's done a lot of this stuff. It's in his folders. It's in his head. And there's another woman, Marge Shansky, down on the shoreline, that is very well known as an environmental and land use attorney. There's Tony, we spoke about one a long time ago, Zig Zuski or something. What was that one?
Mike Ziska, the guy who wrote writes what's legal, or used to write what's legally required. He's around too. He's another one. You know.
I guess it wouldn't hurt to have the list of you know, all the attorneys that are available with their area of specialization, depending on what we need an answer on. Are we required to stick to a single attorney because you know, issues within land use and zoning and planning are really quite varied, and we might want to utilize different expertise. So again, I think it just warrants looking at the range of resources that we might have available to us, and we may use more than one.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if we are going to look into this too, John and Mike work in like 45 towns or something like that. So I mean, he's probably aware of some attorneys too.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with all of the ones that Ben noted, and I'd note that actually both Marjorie and Dwight are more or less on their own. I think Dwight might be of counsel to Robinson and Cole.
Yeah.
Marjorie's pretty much on her own. Mike Ziska is now with Halloran and Sage, who has, in my opinion, the very best land use group in the state. Which means that you know, if you work with Mike, you not only work with Mike, you also work with Mark Brantz and Rich Roberts and Ken Slater and Duncan Forsyth, just some outstanding land use guys. And it's a full I mean, the benefit of a land use group is that, you know, you have someone who does environmental stuff, someone who does land use stuff, someone who does, you know, road right of way stuff. But anyway, we work with Halloran and Sage more than any other group. But I mean, you can't really say anything negative about Dwight Merriam or Marjorie Shansky either, other than they're more or less on their own.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a conversation, but you're talking about specialized stuff. I mean, this is the way we've got to start looking with the issues that are coming up, is that there really does need to be a conversation. I just see where the legalities are going on our end, and I think we're well underrepresented for land use. I really do, and I think we're burning a lot of money that we don't have to, and it should be simple telephone calls instead of these dissertations we're spending thousands of dollars on.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so if you guys are all good with that, it sounds like this is going to be a further discussion. If anybody doesn't have anything else, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I hold on, Tony. I keep
shoot.
coming in and out of this meeting. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is there any way as a group we can talk about how we can get back to some kind of normalcy from a meeting standpoint? Because I can't participate normally this way. I can do it at work because I'm confined to an office and there's not kids in the background, and I can go into a conference room. I feel like I'm distracting the group. I feel like I'm in and out of conversations. I mean, the schools are open. Is there any conversation of when we're going to get back to an in-person meeting? Is the town hall open?
Town hall is not open.
Okay.
I mean, it varies between towns. I still have, the town of Madison's not open, but the town of Guilford is wide open. So it varies.
All right. I'm just curious. Is anybody talking about when this is going to start up? Because I'm having and again, this is selfish. I'm having a difficult time staying involved and being useful to the commission. And again, it is what it is. I have a tough time with my phone. Like I said, it's not the same setup I'm used to at work. I don't have a laptop dedicated for P&Z. So I have a difficult time, and I just would like to know if we're at least trying to ask the question when we're going to get back to normalcy.
I mean, like John had said, I don't know if it's ever going to be normal. They're looking, because this is carrying on, they're looking at adding this into into the town hall permanently. So you got me.
COVID cases went up in Connecticut today.
Right.
That's great. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the fact I've been in the office since May.
But that's why it's closed, Chris. I mean, you can't have one without the other. I hate to say that.
I don't understand. I don't understand how the town is operating when our district is in school, and our public functions are functioning, yet we can't hold a town meeting. I just don't understand, and it's getting to the point where I can't even participate in these meetings because it's just so discombobulated.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we need to weigh that. I mean, there is some inconvenience, and I have to admit, I left my house so I could take this meeting.
I'm in my basement, so.
I mean, is there? I mean, the library is open. Is there a way that we can, like, even if the town hall's not open, that we could at least get together so we can look each other in the face for this conversation? It's just,
Rich, we need to weigh into this, the benefit to the public as well, because I think we're seeing a lot of participation from public members of planning.
Alan, you're cutting out there.
I am.
Yep,
With the ability to share information on the screen with the public, I think that there's benefits to it. We may have to figure out how to make it work, but we are seeing very good participation from the public on the on the Zoom venues.
I agree. I mean, the public's. I feel like it's a lot easier to display stuff and show stuff. Also, I think maybe there is a hybrid thing that you could do. And again, if you're saying that the library is open, I mean, maybe their computers are available to Zoom from. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but maybe that's something we can eyeball.
I think it's open like 4 hours during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
11 to 3, I think.
Yeah.
Tony,
I don't know. I don't know if kindergartners can figure out how to do it. I think the commission can. That's just the way I look at it.
Yep.
Tony, if I might.
Yeah, shoot, John.
One of the challenges, just by way of explanation, is the fact that these are meant to be public meetings.
Right.
And whereas the commission, the 7 of you or whatever the number is, could in theory get together in the town hall auditorium and socially distance, these are public meetings and the public has a right to participate. And so if the public wants to participate, there needs to be capacity to accommodate them. And obviously, at a busy meeting, you might have a dozen people or something like that, but it's the logistics behind having a true open public meeting and accommodating the right of the public to participate is the challenge. Even though we all might feel safe and there might be a room big enough.
Right.
We have an auditorium at our disposal, like you just said. All I'm asking is that we look for some kind of plan to get back to normalcy. So far, we just keep kicking this down the road.
I think it's a question for the selectmen to really push them on.
Right.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's where we're at. I mean, I don't agree with everything we're doing either, but it's for the greater good, if you will.
Okay.
Anyway, anybody else has nothing else, I look for a motion to adjourn. You guys want to hang out, huh?
Adjourn?
So looking for a second. I think, Alan, you just said yay?
Yes.
Close enough.
It's a second, Bruce.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Chris? Christie?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you very much. You all enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night.